The time is precisely 1:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Ramesh Pires. First, the headlines. The special gazette on extending the retirement age of public servants has been issued. An extensive program to strengthen the rural economy. The opposition points out the need for an investment centre in the country. 108 examination centres for COVID-infected children at the Year 5 scholarship exams. The South Korean speaker is in the island on a 4-day visit. And in news overseas, New Zealand and Australian aid planes to arrive in Tonga. And now the local news in detail. The extraordinary gazette notification on extending the retirement age of public sector employees to 65 years has been issued by the Ministry of Public Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government. The communique was published yesterday, signed by Minister Janaka Bandara Trinakul. The special gazette says that every public servant may be required to retire from the public service on or after attaining the age of 55 years. However, the retirement age will be compulsory for all civil public servants attaining the age of 65 years. As per the Gazette notification, the decision is effective from January 1st this year. The debate on the adjournment of the House on the President's policy statement was conducted for the second day today at the Parliament. At the beginning of the debate, Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, said that the spread of coronavirus pandemic was contained due to measures taken by the President. As the first measure, the lives of the people were protected from the pandemic. He also stated that the battle to cultivate main crops have already started to face a future crisis. He added that the international community have placed their confidence on Sri Lanka and went on to say many foreign countries have come forward to provide their support to Sri Lanka. The minister also reiterated that the government has allocated 30 billion rupees to remove salary anomalies of the teacher salaries which existed for many years. The minister noted a draft bill to prepare a new constitution is being carried out. He said the president has stated that it will be presented to the people as well as to the parliament. Minister Gunawardena further said an extensive program to strengthen the rural economy is being implemented. He noted the government has spent 229 billion rupees to provide relief package to people who were affected by the pandemic. Meanwhile, the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said in Parliament that the present government came into power with the base of national security. Accordingly, he stated that the government has failed to fulfill the target aspirations of securities in the military, health, economy and politics. He further said that an investment centre should be established in order to get rid of the unsafe economic situation in the country. On a separate note, the parliamentarians of the Parliamentary Select Committee was presented to the Parliament by the Speaker. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Year 5 scholarship examination will be conducted in 2,943 examination centres in the island on Saturday. 255,062 candidates will attend the exam in Sinhala medium and 85,446 candidates will sit for the exam in Tamil medium. The Commissioner General of Examinations, LMD Dharmasena, said that additional 108 examination centres have been set up for COVID-infected children. He made these remarks at a media briefing held today. The Additional General Manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board, Andrew Normani, says that electricity supply will not be interrupted in the island today since the required fuel for the activities at the Karanithissa power station have been received yesterday. The Petroleum Corporation has taken measures to provide 10,000 metric tons of fuel to the Electricity Board. The CEB says the fuel they received is sufficient for 8 days. Meanwhile, the two Chinese experts have arrived in the island to repair an electric power generating machine at the Noruchole power plant. And that ends the local news bulletin.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. South Korea's National Assembly Speaker Park Byung-suk has arrived in Sri Lanka for discussions on expanding cooperation in mineral resources. He is scheduled to meet with his Sri Lankan counterpart, Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Abeyewardene, as well as President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa during the 4-day visit. The two sides are expected to discuss potential agreements on securing Sri Lanka's rare minerals, preventing double taxation, aviation and increasing South Korean business participation in Sri Lanka's development projects. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watch Night, the consumers are facing difficulties due to high fish prices in the Hatton town. The people of Hatton and suburban areas are compelled to consume fish mostly in the face of these price hikes. They also pointed out that they are facing many difficulties due to this situation. The fish vendors in the area stated that the prices have increased owing to the high demand for fish in the market. And that came to you in Watch Night.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to a bulletin of world news, first the headlines. New Zealand and Australian aid planes to arrive in Tonga. The US president says that he thinks Putin will move in. North Korean hints at starting ICBM nuclear tests. And now the world news in detail. New Zealand and Australian aid planes and ships are due to arrive in Tonga carrying much-needed supplies for the disaster-struck nation. Hundreds of workers have cleared a thick layer of volcanic ash covering the runway at Tonga's main airport. Saturday's eruption of an undersea volcano and tsunami waves have killed at least 3 people and cut communications. The ash has blanketed the island, posing a serious health risk and contaminated water supplies. Efforts to remove ash at the airport in the capital, Nuku'alofa, finished on Wednesday after rescue teams and volunteers desperately worked to clear the tarmac using wheelbarrows and shovels. US President Joe Biden has said he thinks his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin will move in on Ukraine but does not want full-blown war. Asked at a news conference about the threat of a Russian invasion, he said his guess is that he will move in and he has to do something. But he warned that the Russian leader would pay a serious and dear price for testing the West. Moscow denies planning to attack or invade but has built up its forces. It is estimated to have about 100,000 troops close to Ukraine's border. White House officials later issued a statement clarifying the US position after some reporters at the news conference questioned Mr. Biden about whether the US would allow a small incursion into Ukraine following his comments. North Korea says it will reconsider the trust-building measures it has taken on its own initiative with the United States, hinting that it will restart nuclear ICBM testing. North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency reported that leader Kim Jong-un presided over a meeting of the ruling Workers' Party's political bureau yesterday. The agency said the hostile policy and military threat by the US have reached a danger line that cannot be overlooked anymore, citing military exercises by the US around the Korean peninsula as well as stronger sanctions. Back to the headlines of the world news. New Zealand and Australian aid planes to arrive in Tonga. US President says that he thinks Putin will move in. North Korea hints at restarting ICBM nuclear tests. And that concludes the World News Bulletin.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
The Ratmalani Airport is set to commence the operations of direct international flights from the 29th of this month to India, Bangladesh and Maldives. The government has revealed that discussions are also underway with several other international airlines to commence operations to the Ratmalani Airport. And that was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on to sports news, it's cricket. The Legends Cricket Tournament will begin in Oman today. It will be held until the 29th of this month. The former Sri Lankan captain Arjuna Ranatunga will act as the captain of the Asian Legends team. Former cricketers of Sanath Jayasuriya, Tilakaratne Dilshan, Muthaiya Muralidharan, Chamita Vas, Upul Taranga, Ramesh Kaluvitharan and Nuwan Kulasekara will participate in the tournament. Meanwhile, in other cricket news, the next match of the Under-19 World Championship Cricket Tournament between Sri Lanka Under-19 team and the West Indies team will be held at the St. Kitts playground tomorrow. And that's sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Commercial Bank of Ceylon has once again become the highest-ranked bank in the LMD 100 and is among the top 10 corporate giants on this prestigious list for the 28th consecutive year, having been ranked among the top 10 every year since the ranking was first published in respect of 1993 and 1994. The LMD 100 for 2021 and 2020 ranks Sri Lanka's benchmark private sector bank at number 1 overall in terms of assets, at number 2 for profits, at number 3 for shareholders' funds, and at number 4 for revenue among all corporates, reaffirming the bank's status as one of the country's strongest business entities. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Moving on to economic news. In consideration of the current and expected macroeconomic developments, the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to adopt several policy measures with a view to strengthening macroeconomic stability. Accordingly, at this meeting held yesterday, the Monetary Board decided to increase the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate of the Central Bank by 50 basis points each to 5.5% and 6.5% respectively. And that was economic news. The weather report is next.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says that mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The Special Gazette on extending the retirement age of public servants has been issued. An extensive program to strengthen the rural economy. The opposition points out the need for an investment center in the country. 108 examination centers for COVID-infected children at the AF5 scholarship exam. The South Korean speaker is in the island on a 4-day visit. And in news overseas, New Zealand and Australian aid planes to arrive in Tonga. And that concludes this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.